so much more what actually goes into getting results. My name is Tyler Williams, coach for 5 years, but recently 105 kilograms and overweight, stuck and burnt out. I'm here to share you my stories on how I changed my life, got the results I've always wanted to, and how I'm now helping hundreds of women and men do the exact same thing. This is episode 1 of the Limitless podcast, and today we're going to be talking about me being stuck, overweight, and burnt out, and how you can break that stop-start cycle, and if you really need more motivation or just better systems. Now, the reason why this is so important to me is because it all started when I looked at a photo of myself and I felt like I just didn't recognize myself whatsoever. And this is what I call the stage 1 of changing my life. So let's get into it. So, as we start in the beginning, it was this initial photo which just shocked and rocked my life. When I look at this photo, I just see so many things wrong with me. I see myself unfit. I see myself unhappy. I see myself not as who I am today. And most importantly, this signals to me letting myself go. You might be watching this and you may have had a similar experience where you look at a photo or you look at yourself in the mirror and you just think, you know what, everything is not where it used to be. I don't recognize who I was before. That's exactly what started and sparked this journey. Now, you don't get to this journey just by chance. There has been things that have been going on in day-to-day life which you have either ignored, brushed underneath the carpet, or never addressed. For me, I'm going to get into them. So, some of the things what was stopping me from doing that were very simple. I had a huge lack of routine. I gained a lot of this weight during the lockdown periods when the gyms wasn't open and my life was completely thrown for a 180 loop. Never knowing if I was going to be able to coach again, never knowing if the gyms were going to be opening, and at the time had my first child on the way. There was a lot of stress, but there was also a complete lack of routine. Now, you could easily say, well, everybody were going through the same things, and that's the same mind frame that I had. Everybody's going through the same thing, so loads of people are going to gain weight. I'll just gain the weight. I'm sure I'm going to lose it. Yeah, it wasn't as easy as that. In fact, it was probably the most stressful, frustrating period of my life during the start of this journey. The lack of routine was the biggest one. Not having a clear structure of what I was doing when I was inside the gym, not having a clear understanding of what my meals and my food and my nutrition should be, and not having a routine to make me be the best person that I could possibly be. As I said in the start, fitness comes in so many shapes and sizes, and it's not just about workouts. Taking care of your mental health is something what can drive a change, and it can be something what takes results from here all the way till here, to the very top. You want to make sure that you have your emotions under control, because there's one thing that gets everybody tongue tied and twisted when it comes to making a change in their life is not being able to stick to the plan when they don't feel like it. Now, there will be times where things don't go well. There will be times where things are out of your control, and there will be times where you want to pack it all in. But actually understanding your emotional triggers and being able to control your emotions can really dictate your results. And most importantly, the biggest lesson that I learned from the start to where I am today. If I never really got to understand my emotions, who I am, and why I want to achieve the goals that I had, I would never, ever be recording this for you today. And I would have never changed over 100 people's lives in the process. The first thing that I want you to think about when it comes to emotional control is, can you start to dictate and understand why do you truly want to make the change? I always thought it was because of the way that I looked. It's much deeper than that. It's the way that I performed. It's the way that I felt. It's the way that I surrounded myself with people. It was the way that I felt when I closed my eyes at night and I had the voices in the head what spoke to me and said, I'm not living up to my potential. This can't be my life. I can't be this type of person. The same voices what you may hear on a day-to-day basis. You need to start to get them in control by having a goal greater than just looking good for a couple of photos or wearing your favorite outfit. Yes, that can spark the motivation, but will it truly sustain it? It didn't for me until I really started to understand what drives me. And that led me to not get fixated on quick fixes. See, quick fixes has been something that I've had a love-hate relationship with. At times, they've worked really well for me, but at times they've absolutely set me back. And more often than not, the quick fix only lasted for a quick amount of time. The quick it came, the quick it just left. And quick fixes are now something that I massively push to the side. You might ask, Tyler, what are examples of quick fixes? Quick fixes are anything that you believe are going to lose you a high amount of weight or achieve a large amount of muscle gain in a really short and unrealistic time frame. For example, detoxes, skinny teas, matcha. I've heard is a new one. Drinking matcha is going to lose weight. Green teas, things that you feel like don't really do it, and it's not the simple bread and butter of being in a calorie deficit, training harder, being more active, and tracking your progress. Maybe we'll get onto them a little bit later. But the biggest issue about this whole period was simply this: I felt like a stranger in my own body. And you listening to this, watching this, or however you're consuming this, maybe you felt the exact same. Maybe you felt like a stranger in your body because you look at the mirror, you look at yourself, and you think, is this really me? Is this really going to be my life? I see that person, but I don't feel like that person. And having that stranger syndrome is one of the cruelest places to be. And for me, it was the biggest wake up call that I needed. But how did I actually make the change? How do you go from here to the next stage? Well, let me talk to you all about stage 2 and let's get going. So, as we move over to stage 2, this is where I actually fell for some of the lies. You may have been here as well. The fitness industry is built upon amazing truths, but some really good salesmen and also a lot of grifters. People who say things for clicks, likes, and views. We live in a day and age where people do stuff for clout, not to change people's lives. And if you've been subjected to clout, then you may have heard this term of, I need to be more motivated. People such as, I don't know, David Goggins. Well, I won't even say David Goggins, but because for me, that really, really, really benefited me. But for some people, being more motivated isn't actually the case because you're motivated. You're motivated in other areas of your life, whether that be you're motivated at work, whether that you be motivated to look after your children, whether that's you're motivated to even click on a video such as this. You've got motivation, but what you don't have is a system. You don't actually have a system what works when you don't want to work. When it goes back to the emotional control before, what I started to realize is if I could fall back on a routine, a set of structures, and a framework, even when I wasn't motivated, I could still get the work done. And it might not be 100%, but it's a lot better than packing in the towel and throwing it to the side. So the fitness industry may say that you need to be more motivated. I would argue you need a system and a framework which you can follow no matter what your mood is. And that's where you don't have to get into this willpower debate. The willpower of, I need the right system, or the willpower of, I can't do it. Having willpower is amazing, and being able to say, okay, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going, is something that I really commend. And at times, I feel like my life has been ran on willpower, whether that's from a business, a personal, or a physical side point. But having the right system makes what you need to do way simpler, way more enjoyable, and way more effective. Now, you might say, Tyler, how do I get the right system? How do I actually know what the system needs to be? It's simple. If it makes your life simpler, if it makes your life more enjoyable, and it's something that you can consistently do, that is the right system. And here's the right system what changed my life, so you can steal the 3 things what worked for me. The first thing was my training. Now, with my training, I developed something called the SSS protocol. And for me, that is super simple. And let me show you it across here. The SS protocol is simply strength, skill, and sweat. Now, before gaining all the weight, I've been in the gym, and just like you, I might have trained push pull legs, upper body, lower body, going 5-7 days a week, and kind of just being burnt out, seeing some results, but never being able to actually take my strength or my training to the next level because I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew what I should have been doing, but actually getting the intensity in the sessions were very difficult to do. And I'm somebody who loves sports, and I'm somebody who loves to do loads of different things. So the strength, skill, sweat method was something I absolutely loved. It's as simple as this. You take a first block of your training working on maximal strength. What I mean by that is your compound moves, your back squats, your deadlifts, your hip thrusts, your bench presses, your bent over rows, your pull-ups, your chin-ups, your dips. Things what build strength, things what look to build muscle. You spend the first 20 minutes working on them. You do 1 to 2 exercises, and you're looking to get 3 to 5 reps. getting really heavy with these and making sure that you're trying to get the most strength possible. We then move into some skill exercises. Again, this will probably be 2 exercises targeting either the upper and the lower body. These are where we're trying to build muscle. These are some exercises which require less of the compound and more isolated exercises. So these could be stuff as working the leg extensions, bicep curls, chest flies, shoulder press, dumbbell raises. It can be bicep curls. These are things what are high in hypertrophy. Now, if you're unsure what hypertrophy means, you can send me over a DM and I will kind of break it down. Or if you'd like me to do another episode talking about the intricacies of training, let me know in the comments and I will provide that. The final one is your sweat. Because I was somebody who hated cardio and never did it and never had dedicated days to do it, now having a sweat section in my training was something that I absolutely loved. I would pair this up in 2 ways. I would take things such as high rocks or CrossFit and use circuit style training to finish my workouts, making sure that I finish with a little bit of a buzz, finish with something a little bit challenging, or just finish with something that made me feel rewarded at the end of my session. I never believe in this hype that you need to be drenched to lose fat or you need to sweat to lose weight. But it gave me a sense of achievement because I know I pushed myself. I know I raised that level of intensity. Another way we can do this is try to look at higher rep ranges, things such as push-ups or frog pumps or hip thrusts or planks or dips, pushing these all the way to failure in the higher rep ranges, 25, 30, 45, 50 reps, because that way we get a little bit of a sweat on and we achieve something massive. Doing this over a 3-day span not only gave me more time to rest so I could put more in my sessions, but it meant I was getting way more bang for my buck because 3 times per week I was working on my strength. 3 times per week I was working on my skills and my hypertrophy building muscle. And 3 times per week I was doing cardio. I was having a sweat, I was improving my cardiovascular, and I was losing weight rapidly. It's one of the greatest methods, and it's now the backbone for the course that I run on Limitless. After that, we went on to what everybody's favorite is, and that's food. And when it came to food, I simply applied the 80-20 rule. Now, if you're not familiar with the 80-20 rule, you need to get to know because the 80-20 rule will honestly change your life and change the way that you view food and the way that you go about everything that you do. 80-20 is simply this. 80% of your food is the food that you know is healthy, is clean, is productive towards your goals. The 20% of the food are things that you love and you enjoy. So the average for me would look like pretty much every single day I would fast until 12 o'clock because that's something what works for me. I would have a lunch what consisted of high protein, a little bit of carbohydrates through veg, salad, and a little bit of healthy fats in there. And then I'd have an evening meal again, which were a little bit more rich in carbs, again high protein with a little bit of fats in there as well. And then on an evening, I'd sit down with a cup of tea in hand, maybe a chocolate bar, and maybe a small packet of crisps. And that way, I didn't over exceed my calories because the protein made me feel fuller for longer between my lunch and my evening meal. And I knew that I had enough calories in the bank because I didn't have anything for my breakfast as I fasted. And this allowed me to have a sweet treat on the night. This way, I brought one of the things that I was really, really bad at. I was really, 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 really bad at snacking. I was really bad at binge eating, and I was really, really bad of giving myself too many treat days. Now, I all believe that we should be able to eat our favorite foods and get results, but it doesn't mean that we have to eat all our favorite foods for every single meal, every single day. To get results, there is some sacrifices, but you don't need to suffer. And I think when it comes to food, so many of you are out there suffering rather than just making small sacrifices to get big rewards. Because I don't want to say it's plain sailing and everything is easy, but the swaps that you can make are very simple. And the final thing which you can do, and anybody should be doing, is actually tracking what matters and doing it in the right way. See, tracking just your weight is right, but is it truly what matters? For a lot of us out there, we can get fixated by the number that we weigh because that's a measure that we've been conditioned to believe shows if we're skinny, fat, or losing weight or gaining weight. And yes, it plays a role, but how about the way that your clothes feel? How about the strength improvements inside of the gym? How about your confidence? How about the way that you look in photos? How about the way that you are feeling when it comes to your food, your confidence, your mindset, the amount of wins that you're having in a week, the challenges that you're facing? You can track in so many different ways. It doesn't need to be so black and white by a number on a scale. Yes, you can, but you don't need to do that all the way. Now, you might say to me, why does that matter? Like, why does that matter to you? Because you said this is just what you did, Tyler. So, as me watching it or listening to it, why does this matter? Well, let me tell you exactly why it matters. Because it matters for three reasons, and three reasons which stand out to me. And these are the following. As I said before, no more suffering. You don't have to go out there thinking, oh my God, I've got to eat this. I've got to eat chicken and rice and broccoli. I've got to do 45 minutes on a Stairmaster. I've got to train 5 days a week. I've got to live a normal life. I've got to go to work. I've got to feed my children. I've got to clean up. I've got to wash my clothes every single day. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the money. I don't have the focus. You don't need to do that. Because what I've said on there, I can agree, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, are not very difficult things to maintain or at least start, which goes into the second thing. These can be things that you can start small. When it comes to the changes that I said beforehand, you could start by just simply adopting the SET SS protocol. Doesn't mean that you have to do it 3 days a week. Maybe you had one day in your current routine. Maybe start with home workouts. Maybe start with one day you focus on strength, one day you focus on skills, and one day you focus on sweat. Maybe you just start implementing working out more. Maybe you can take the 80-20 rule. Maybe you can start changing the trackings. You don't have to change your whole life just in one. You can do that by starting small and progressing over time. The other thing that you can guarantee, or why it's so important to you, is results. Results actually happen. And that's the thing. This is not just something where you just say it and it's kind of like, okay, this is just in concept, this is in theory. No, this honestly gets life-changing results. Let me just show you. For example, this is the exact same system that helped my client lose 9 pounds and tone up in her first 30 days while running a business and working in her career. As you can see, when she finished her first 30 days, her wins were as followed. She lost 9 pounds. She formed new habits. She went to the gym nearly every day. Again, that's not something that you have to do listening to this or watching this, but this is something that she wasn't doing before. She hit 10K steps daily on average. Now she's looking to continue them habits, which she has, and she really, really wants to get good at managing her calories and still tracking. For example, her bloating has never been as bad, and she's had more fun in her day-to-day version. And the quote that I love is that she's continuing to form new habits and becoming the best version of herself. Now, if you're somebody who's watching it rather than listening to it, you can see the physical results very clear as day, and they're absolutely amazing. But not only that, this is also the same system that has helped Charlotte give up restrictive dieting and enjoying food without guilt while running an online e-commerce store and being a mother. And as you can kind of see in the screenshots here, she said that food has been something what has been massively different and changed for her. Now, she tracked calories and she was somebody who liked tracking calories, understanding what she was eating and how much she was burning. And she wasn't really doing that before, and having that kind of measure of, okay, what am I having and what am I having, allowed it to be a little bit more present for her. But I told her the same thing. Don't let this become another restricted thing. Don't let this become something what holds you back. And she said, no, I won't. And that's where we said we don't have to give up everything. For example, she loved chocolates and she loved treats because after a day of parenting, as I know, you might need to sit down and unwind a little bit. So being able to understand her calories, but without being restricted by her calories, was super enjoyable for her because she could see exactly what she needed to do on a day-by-day basis to eat in the 80-20%, but most importantly, to do it without feeling struggle. And finally, we also have Elizabeth. Absolutely phenomenal. She was able to hit 90% of her habits last week and just dropped her fourth dress size in 12 months. She went from a size 16 to a size 10, following everything that I've said to you on here. So if you're thinking, you know what, that were really easy, I could definitely do it, it works. And again, these are people just like yourself, people who are working jobs, people who are running homes, people who are in school. It's all people just like you. If you've got a situation or you think, you know what, I can't do it, I'd love to hear the reasons why you can't do it, because I can guarantee it, there's been somebody on the course or somebody I've worked with who've done the thing that you want to do in a similar situation as you. I challenge you to prove me wrong. So you've listened to me talk about this, and all I've got to say is action. I always finish everything. So whether that's talking to the people that I work with, which is most of the women, I always end calls or conversations with the following. What is your next action going to be? Because I think if we don't focus on the actions, we get into this wish-washy state where things don't really happen, things don't change. We just kind of take information in, we don't process it, and we don't do anything. Or if we do, we take it so long that we start to overwhelm ourselves. So here's the next actions for you. You have your small action, something which takes little to no time and is completely with no restriction. And that's to download your free guide. So if you're watching this, you will see in the description a link to download your free guide. The free guide will give you everything that I spoke about in a clear format so you can see step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as a couple more resources to help you. Or the bigger action, which I can say to you right now will guarantee you results, is join Limitless today and work with the bunch of girls that you've seen on here and become writing your own story. I will tell you all about what Limitless is when we jump on a phone call and we can talk all the way through it. Again, if you're serious about joining Limitless, it's not going to be no sales call. I'm not going to be trying to sell you anything. I'm truly trying to show you the opportunity that is there to take you from where you want to be, where you're at, to where you want to be, and how Limitless fills in the gaps. If you don't fully believe that it fills in the gaps and you don't truly believe that is the next step, I don't want to have you there because you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to make sure that you don't live your life how I felt, not living up to my potential, because your potential is limitless. The results you get are limitless. The only thing that's stopping you from where you want to be is a lack of action. So my question to you today is, what action are you going to take?